guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US. Well, today I'm going to show you how to make a forever and always wedding card for the happy couple. This weekend, I can't believe it, my daughter's friend from kindergarten is getting married this weekend. Can't believe the kids are that old. They're not kids anymore. But I thought, well, I'll go ahead and do a video in case you need a wedding card too. And it features the Forever and Always bundle. Let me get this and show you. This is in the January to June mini catalog from Stampin' Up. Such a pretty set. I really like it a lot. I love the big Love and Always. And I'm going to be using this die here, along with this one, and this medium-sized one. We've got a short one, long one, and then the medium-sized one. And those are all, oh, I take that back. I'm also going to be using the leaf dies and the flowers. So we're using a lot of dies out of this set. Okay, now it's time to start making this card. And if you'd like to stamp with me, you can pause the video, look down in the video description and click on that blog post link. And that will give you all the supplies and the dimensions you need to know about to make this card. And then you can come back and make it with me. Okay, we're going to start off with a piece of Rococo Rose. This is the card base. It's 5.5 by 8.5. Once again, we're going to fold this. And the trick to folding 1.5 is to line those corners up. Don't worry about the sides. You want to make sure you get those corners lined up. And that makes it fold in half every time. So there we go. We've got that ready to go. And let's go ahead and do some stamping. I've already started and done some of the stamping already and the coloring, because I didn't want you to have to sit and watch that, but I'm going to show you how I do it all. You're going to need a 1/4 piece of basic white. So this is a 4.25 by 5.5, so it's a 1/4 sheet of the paper. And I've already stamped the 2 smaller flowers in the stamp set. Now I'm going to do the big one. And you want to use your tuxedo black memento. Now this is how I did all the stamping on here. And sometimes with the tuxedo black, I find it's easier to kind of twist it a little bit and then pounce it. And I think it covers up the bolder areas on the stamp a lot better, especially with the photopolymer. Oops, I got a little black on there, didn't I? Let's see, I think I can get that out of the way. Yeah, we're good. I'll put it right here. I must have gotten some black on my fingers. There we go. So now we've got that flower ready to go. And now I'm going to color these just like I colored these. So you're going to learn how I did it. I'm using Rococo Rose and Mint Macaron in my Stampin' Blends. I always start with a dark color. Some people like to start with a light color, color it all in, then add the dark, and then go back over it again. Well, I tend to start with the dark, and I wanted to have the center to be dark. So this is the dark Rococo Rose, and I am intentionally going over the black area here. The first time I colored this, I didn't go over the black area, and it just looked a little funny, and I think it looks better, and it kind of blends in the black even. And then every place that I want it to be dark, I'm going over it, and see how I'm making it jagged, because that's the way flowers are. So I'll just keep doing this until I get all the lines, because all these lines, Stampin' Up! Has done it for us where we want the shading to be. So I'm going to color all of these in. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I've got all the dark Rococo Rose. Now I'm going to grab my light. I'm going to color in everything, even over the dark, so the shading will blend. Okay, now I'm going to get this a little close up for you. You can see how in a lot of the places where the dark is, it's still too much of a difference between the light and the dark. So I'm going to go over these again, just where the dark and the light meet, just to blend that in a little bit better. So I'm going to go right over here. I'm still using the light. Do that a little bit. Let it dry for a minute. Go over it a little bit more if I need to. And I want you to see the difference. If you look at these, how stark the difference is, and here it's blended a little more. And this will actually, I can go over this a little bit more to make it a little more even. But it blends in so much better when you do it that way. So you just keep doing that until it blended it just the way you want it. Okay, that looks pretty good. It does blend it a lot better. And if you ever want to go back, so there's some places you might have blended too much, just add a little more dark and keep going from there. Now I think I'm going to make that center just a little bit darker, because I think it's kind of blended in a little too much right here. So I'm going to add another layer of the dark and even go over that black area again. I think I'm even going to do that up here with these. Just make that a little bit darker in the middle. And that looks really good. I like how that just looks a little bit darker. Now the way I did the leaves, I'm taking my dark mint macaron, and there's so many lines here, it was going to make it to where I didn't have room for the light, and I like having the different shading. So I'm just going to go right here along the middle, kind of scribble with the dark. And you see how these are still white on the outside. Take the light mint macaron and go over it again. Now with this color, I'm finding a lot of times when you do the lighter colors, sometimes you do still want to go back in and add a little more of that dark, because it's nice to have a little bit more of contrast. There we go. You may not be able to see that in the video, but I like having that darker crease in the leaf. It makes it look a little more realistic. Okay, now we're going to start doing, oh wait, we do want to do one more thing to stamp. You want to grab a piece of Blushing Bride. I was getting ahead of myself. 2.5 by 3/4. And you're going to stamp the Forever And stamp. And I'm going to use the Memento Black again. Tuxedo Black Memento, there we go. And just stamp this close to the center. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to die cut that here in a minute. And while I got my ink out, let's go ahead and get the rest of the stamping done. Grab a piece of basic white, 4 by 5 1/4. This is going to be the inside of our card. And then grab the smaller flower stamp. Once again, I'm going to stamp this with my Tuxedo Black Memento. And, oh, I'm going to pounce on it a little bit too, so I don't have the little swish marks on there, but that just really saturates that middle a lot better. Now I'm going to stamp this close to the middle at the bottom and kind of line the bottom center of the flower with the bottom of the page like that. And I just want to make a little border. So put one down here, kind of line it up the same way, but put it right next to it. Hold it down a few seconds. And we'll do this the same way. There we go. Now we've got a nice little flower border down there. Now if you wanted to color those in, you can, but I decided not to. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my card base here and go ahead and attach this so I don't cover it up later and can't find it. Roll this so it gets going again. Once it gets going, it works so good. I love our seal. Put this on the inside of the card. And like I said, if you want to color those in, you go right ahead. But I thought it looked just as good just keeping it black and white. Okay, so put this to the side and now we'll do some die cutting. Okay, I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out. And we're going to do some die cutting first. We've got platform number 1, the base plate, then the die plates number 2, and then a standard cutting plate number 3. And I'm going to grab this big piece that has all of our flowers and leaves. We're going to do some die cutting with all of those. I'm going to grab the flower and a leaf. I think we've got enough of a difference here. Do that one. I could do a little leaf, but I think I'm going to hold off on that. That's probably enough to try to keep in place. I always lift this up. This is up higher. Stick that in a little bit and then bring this down nice and easy. Then hold my fingers down, keep the pressure on it so the dies don't move. Okay, and then once they're under here, you can take your hand off, of course. So we've got our leaf here. Flower, it's not a leaf. We're done with the big one, and here's a leaf and a little flower. And we'll bring this back over here again so you can see it better in the screen. We'll die cut some more. Here's that flower. I'm going to do this leaf over here because it's a little farther away so they don't get in the way of each other. I think I have this leaf far enough away, but just to be on the safe side. And then I'm going to find my little leaf. There we go. And line it up. I love how our dies line up. You just get that image directly in the center, in the opening. The lines line up perfectly with the stamp. Okay. Put this down at an angle. Lay it down nice and easy. Keep the pressure on it until that last die is underneath this center section. Then you can let go. Okay, we're all die cutting those images. Now we are going to die cut a big always, actually a couple things. But first off, we're going to get this ready. This is a piece of the Love You Always foil sheets. It comes in Sahara Sand, Blushing Bride, and Rococo Rose. You get 2 of each, and they're 12 by 12 sheets, but this is a Sahara Sand, and this one is a 4 by 1 3/4. And then I want the same size in the adhesive sheet, 4 and 1 3/4. And we're going to put this on the back of the foil sheet. So what you do, there's a little perforate crease right here. You kind of make them in little pieces so that it makes it a little easier to work with. So this is where all the sticky's at. So I'm going to line it up with my foil sheet like so. Then we'll grab this last sheet here. Oh, let's put this over here. I don't want to cover up my flowers and leaves. And I'll put this on right there to fill that in. Okay, so keep that paper backing on now. We're going to turn this over and grab a piece of, another piece of Blushing Bride. This one is 4 by 1 3/4. And while we're at it, go ahead and grab that Forever and stamp. I think we can get all of these done at once. Get these in the screen. Okay, so I'm going to grab the one, this is more of an outline, so you don't see the full always. That's going to be my mat. So that's going to go right here. Actually, I probably could have made that a little longer, but the blade is towards the center. So it's okay if the very edges of this die are hanging over just a little bit. The blade is actually still in there. And then we want to grab the always. Here, that's, you can tell that this is going to do the actual letters. That's the one I want in the foil. So I think what I did, I ended up making these the same length. This one's actually a little bit wider. So you might want to make it more a, let's say, a 4 1/4 by 2. That would probably work a little better. So I'm going to put another standing cutting plate right on top. Oops, I almost forgot. We need to grab that little one right here. And this is for the Forever and it just fits, which is perfect. It's going to look really good. Okay, now we've got all the dies down. Put this down carefully and we'll run it through. And since I'm doing 3 dies, just to be on the safe side, I probably don't need to do it 2 times, but I can do it just to be on the safe side. Okay, so now we've got our mat. Isn't that nice? I love being able to have a mat for words. Put that in there. Then we've got this one. And here is the word. Now, it went through just fine. And the other reason I wanted to do it twice, I wanted it to go through the adhesive sheet too. So I've actually made my own sticker. And I can just pop these little pieces out. And they come out, I don't even have to get my Take Your Pick tool out. They're coming out really easy. Oh, and there's one little one here. That one might take, oh, nope. Sometimes the real little ones you need to Take Your Pick tool. I was able to get them all out with my fingers. So that's the always. I love that. Isn't that pretty in that foil? Gorgeous. Okay, that is all the die cutting. Now we're going to do a little embossing. We get all these little pieces off. And these are regular folders, at least thickness folders. So I'm going to need my platform number 1 and a platform number 3, a standard cutting plate. And I am using these mini folders. These are from the Meadow Moments embossing folders. These actually fit in our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. But since I'm using a 4-inch width piece of paper, that's why I needed to use my big machine. But what I'm going to use, there's one that's got butterflies, flowers, and leaves. I love that one. But this is the one I'm going to be using. And I'm going to grab that last piece of basic white, this 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to put this, I want it to be on the right side of my paper. So I'm going to line the edge in just a little bit because I don't want to have, right here on the very edge, it doesn't emboss anything. So I don't want to have a line, it's just going to look weird. So kind of bring it in just a little bit. We're going to put it in fold first, like we do with all folders, and then you put another standard cutting plate on top. That's what you do with the regular thickness of embossing folders. Okay, and now we've got this neat thing on the right. Isn't that, I love it. It's got all these little dots. These little folders are so fun. Okay, now we are all done with this machine, and now we'll get done and get the rest of the card finished. So here's that embossed piece we just got done with. Now you want to grab a piece of True Love Designer Series paper. This is 1.5 by 5 1/4. One side just has designs, the other side has a lot of flowers. I could have colored this like with a brayer, with a blending brushes, would look gorgeous if I wanted to make these for Cocoa Rose. But I decided to keep them black and white, and I like that look. So I'm going to put some seal on this. Make sure it's rolled up. Put some on each end, and a few little strips on each side. And we will line this up. Make sure that your embossed leaves are on the right. We'll put this right here. Okay. Now I'm going to use this ribbon that's from the annual catalog. This is called Black Glittered Organdy Ribbon. I don't know if you can see the glitter. Oh yeah, there you can. It is so neat. I love this glitter. So I've got a 7-inch piece and a 5-inch piece. So the 7-inch piece is the one I'm going to wrap around here. And I'm going to use glue dots this time. I've decided that glue dots actually work better than the seal wrapping it around. I'll just put a glue dot on each end because sometimes it's hard to get the seal to go on the ribbon. So I like the glue dots now. It just goes really well. And now with this being sheer, I could go right on the paper like so, but I kind of want it over a little bit. So where that dark edge is on the ribbon, I'm putting that right along the edge of the paper. So then we just have white showing, okay? Actually, I think I did it the other way on my other card, so I will show you that at the end of the video so you can see what it looks like when you put it on the paper. Okay, now we'll go ahead and keep this and put this to the side because I want to put the rest of the card together first. So this is going to go on our card base. Get that reeled up again. Another thing I love about this seal, I know I talk about all the time, but I love how it makes even in the embossed layers stay on your cards. Our old snail didn't work very well with the embossing, but for the seal works great. You of course can still use some multi-purpose glue, which is what I used to use for embossed pieces, but I love being able to use the seal better. Okay, so we've got that ready to go. Now we're going to start putting some things together. So I'm going to get these out of the way. First, let's go ahead and put the always on there so we don't lose some pieces here. So this has this, we made this into the sticker with the adhesive sheets. So you just peel the backing off. If you have trouble getting it started, you can use your take your pick tool to get it started. Oop, there's another little piece that came out. Okay, now remember how it had that one little narrow piece? So there's some pieces up here at the top that need to come off. So just kind of bend that and you can find those little backings on there. It's a little hard for me because I'm looking at an angle right now. Just keep peeling those off. And if you don't get them all off, if they're real little pieces, it doesn't matter. It's still going to stick just fine to your paper. So that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to move this around, starting with one end, kind of get it centered the way you want it. So I'm just going to put that S down first and then move it a little bit and then do the Y. So I'm just doing one letter at a time because sometimes the paper starts to move on and you stretch it because it sticks to your finger and it starts to stretch like it's doing right now for me. So I'm just doing it nice and slow, getting each piece where it needs to be in that mat. Just keep playing with it. Like so. Get that A. And there we go. So just don't go too fast. Don't worry if it starts stretching out on you. You can bend it back in place. And now we've got that centered. Doesn't that look pretty? I love that. Okay, so we've got that together. Now we'll go ahead and start putting some flowers together. Now I knew that I wanted the big flower to be in the center of all these flowers. I'm just going to get all these pieces out. I'm having trouble getting hold of them. So I'm going to have this laid down here and then add the others. Now what I decided to do is pop this up with dimensionals, and that also helps when you go to put the other flowers in. So I'm going to turn this over, put my dimensionals, and yes, you're supposed to have it look like that on the back. Oops, those aren't dimensionals, those are glue dots. Okay, so I'm going to put some closer to the center, 3 of them. I don't want them too close to the edge because I'm going to be tucking those little flowers underneath. Now I don't want them too close together too, because this is going to wobble back and forth once it's on. But as you can see, I kept no dimensionals there on the edges, but that should be plenty. Get my take your pick tool, get all my little pieces off of here. Well, having trouble getting these to stay together. Okay, now, like I said, I'm going to have this one up about right here. Okay, and now that it's up on dimensionals, I can stick everything else underneath it. So let's go ahead and attach these little flowers first. Now these are going to go down flat, so we're going to use the seal. And I'm going to put it about right here. Okay. And put this one on the other side. About like that. Kind of angle it a little bit. There, that looks good. So now the flowers are in place. Here I'm going to separate my leaves. These are my big ones and these are the little ones. I'm going to put the little ones here. Let me grab my silicone mat. Find it's a little easier to not worry about getting adhesive in places. Now the fatter part of the leaf is the bottom part. So I'm just going to put a little bit of seal here. Oop, get that wheeled up again. Okay. And I'm going to stick one right here. I don't want it hanging over the edge of the card, so I'm going to make sure it's in. There it is. It's just at the edge. Grab another one. Make sure I have that fat area at the bottom. And this one I'm going to put a little bit like this. I kind of wanted it closer to the first one. Okay. And I thought this looked a little bare, so that's why I did a third one. So we'll get that seal on there. And we're going to put this one over here. Like so. Let me move it a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. So those are my leaves for my big one. And then I'm going to do two small ones. Let's go ahead and get all of these over here. Once again, the fat area is the bottom. Put a little bit of seal there. And you could use glue dots too if you wanted. I'm going to put one right here. And because this is seal, I can lift these up. And I didn't put it all the way to the edge either. But with it being seal, you can lift it up again very easily within the first 10 minutes. So you don't have to worry if you do go too far. Lift this up a little bit, put a leaf there. Okay. I think it's so much easier to build leaves this way. Have the middle one with dimensionals, and then you can tuck everything else underneath. And with the seal, it makes it a whole lot easier since you can lift that flower back up again. Just a little bit, and push it down. And here's our last leaf. Lift that up. I like having these close together. I'm going to lift this up a little bit more because I want it over that leaf. There we go. Okay, now all my flowers are on. Now we're going to put the words on. I decided to have this popped up too. It's going to go over that big flower a little bit. So this end, I just want to have adhesive, regular adhesive. This end's going to have the dimensionals since it's not going to be on this flower. So I think this big area right here, we'll just put a little bit of seal right here. And I think that's really all it needs. And I'm going to take my dimensionals and we'll put a few here. And the regular sized ones work just fine. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put another one right here just so it doesn't collapse. Get the paper backing off. Okay. And then we're going to lay this down. I want to make sure that this part gets on a flower. And I'm having to go kind of close to the edge here. Like so. Make sure it's straight. I think that looks pretty good. There we go. So we've got the always on there. And then we don't want to forget about the forever and. And I want to put dimensionals on it. Now you could use the mini dimensionals, but since I didn't want to have to grab them, I'm going to use my edges here. I think I just need 2 for this one. So I'll put one here on this end and one here on this end. Like I said, the mini dimensionals will work too. Okay. And put this right over here and put it right above and kind of to the right of the L. And the front is almost done. I got ready to say it's done, but we still have this little ribbon to put on, don't we? Now, if you don't want to add another ribbon and just have it stay like that, that's fine. That's what I almost did. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in here. I threaded it underneath. I'm going to tie this on in a single knot. Okay. I'm going to play around with it until I've got it the way I want it to look. I'm going to have it close to my words here. And if it's not going the direction I want, I hold on to the center of the knot and kind of pull it down where I want it. Actually, I think I need to twist that a little bit. There we go. And that one there, okay. And I'm gonna cut them at an angle. And the front of this card is gonna be done. There we go, so that just gave a little bit of an accent for that. So that's the front of the card, and we already got the inside of the card done. So I hope Alexis and her husband like this card. It's really pretty, I really love this. Now I did say I wanted to show you real quick, my original, this one I put on top of the DSP. So there you can see the difference. If you'd rather have the black a little lighter, you can do it on the white like I did during the video, or you can do it right over the DSP and have it that look. So those are my two cards. Hope you liked them. And if you live in the United States and do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours. I would love to mail out the 2 current catalogs. Here's the January to June mini catalog and the celebration catalog. This is the one that ends February 28th, 2021. And you get free items with qualifying orders. With a $50 order or a $100 order, you get products out of here for free that you get to pick your choice. And if you haven't got the annual catalog yet, I can also mail one of these out to you. So just click on that contact me link below in the video description and give me your mailing address and I'll get them mailed out to you. So I'll show you the cards one more time. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you want to stamp with me again, make sure you subscribe to my channel and then click that little bell icon that you'll see and select all. That way YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video and you won't miss anything. And I would love for you to support my channel by giving me a thumbs up or commenting below. I really, really do appreciate it. See you in the next video.